Thanks for joining me on this journey of joy, grief, and authenticity. My name is Hilarie Houghton, and in this episode, I'm going to talk about Hollis's room and how we're saying goodbye to it. So first off, I want to put some disclaimers out there that today there's a lot of noise. So it's raining outside, there's been thunder, they're doing some construction on the house next door. So I've heard a lot of bumps going on, and then Maggie, our dog, she continues to tromp around on the other side of the door. So just bear with me, this is the real deal. I've expressed to so many of you that this room is super special and it calms me. We love this room. We come in here and we spend a lot of time in here. I actually have spent a decent amount of time playing the keyboard, and Maggie and Jamin will come in here too and listen to me play the keyboard and do whatever they're doing. And Maggie always falls asleep. Every time I play the keyboard, she is out. It's so funny. For me, it's been difficult to figure out what to do with this room because I still want to have a baby someday, and truthfully, that's not as easy as it sounds because we are carriers of NKH, which Hollis died from. It's just not as easy as it sounds. There's a 1 in 4 chance that the whole scenario could happen again, and because this condition is fatal, it is much more difficult to take chances because it's a life or death chance. There are options like adopting a sperm or an egg or an embryo or adopting a baby. We could do IVF, and there is some genetic alterations that they could do to test to see if an embryo is infected, and only use an embryo that is not affected. And truthfully, we struggle with some of that, and we never in our wildest dreams thought that we would. But at the end of the day, each of those embryos is a little Hollis. And we would never wish NKH on any little baby, but we also would not take back those 6 days that we got with Hollis. And so for us, it's a little tricky, and everybody has their own perspectives on that, and I absolutely respect that and think you just have to use the discerning of the Holy Spirit to guide you on where you go next. Several weeks, maybe a month ago, my 2 little nieces were in this room, and they were playing with some of the old stuffed animals that Hollis had, and I was fully okay with that and had been expecting it. And at one point during the day, I came into the room and I saw it in such beautiful use, and I was totally okay with it. And I had a peace about it, and I knew in that moment that it was time. It was time for this environment to reflect the progress that we've been making internally. And so at that moment, I knew that in the near future, we would be taking down Hollis's room. So a few weeks later, my parents came down and very sweetly and very spontaneously responded to my spontaneous request to help me take the room down. And when I say take the room down, what I really mean is we went through a lot of Hollis's things and a lot of clothes and a full closet and drawers of beautiful things that had been ready for her, and that she never got to come home and use. My dad was precious when he came, and he brought his camera, which I hadn't really thought through, but I loved that he did. And he took a lot of pictures of us with different items that were special, and just the whole process. Having mom and dad there, it really turned a weekend that I thought was going to be really sad. It turned it into a really special and a really meaningful time. And I'd never really had an opportunity to go through all of her clothes and show my mom everything. I had always assumed there would be a time for that. And originally, my mom had planned to come down during the summer while I was on maternity leave. She was going to come be with me and stay at the house and help. And I just always assumed we'd spend hours doing stuff like that and that she would know this room as well as I do. It was really beautiful to have mom and dad here for that. And whenever it was all said and done, they thanked me for letting them be a part of it, which I wasn't prepared for, and I really, really cherished those words. And I realized how important it was to engage people around me in the process. The following week, Jamin helped me take down some of the big items like Hollis's bed, her crib, Hollis's changing table, which is where I used to put the camera. And so I don't really know where to put the camera now. So this is where it is today. We'll see what happens next. It was meaningful to get to do it together, to also have special time with him. We put everything in storage. A lot of people have asked what we did with some of the items, and we've put a lot of things in storage. Things like the crib, which is actually my Aunt Monica's. So Aunt Monica, it's in our attic, and if anybody needs it, let me know. And we just put a lot of things away and kept a lot of clothes. I actually kept a drawer. I say a drawer, it's really 2 drawers. I couldn't limit it to just 1 drawer, full of my favorite things that I wanted accessible. And this was a recommendation of my friend Casey. The idea of having a place where that was easily accessible, where you could put some of your favorite things, and whenever you felt a tugging at your heart, you could go and see those things that represent Hollis so well. As you can see, we still kept a lot of things on the wall. I still want this to be a room full of swans and to still represent Hollis. But for the time being, I wanted to keep at least some of those items. And we put up the keyboard in a different place and kind of move things around. We've got Maggie's crate in the corner. One of the things that surprised me about the evolution of her room is that I wanted to share it with others. I found myself coming across things that were special and they were from certain people, and I found myself on social media tagging people of these photos and just wanting to thank them again for the love that they poured into her even before they met her. And it was just a really special time. It was an important moment for me. I've heard stories of women who have had family members take down the room before they even get home from the hospital. And kind of take matters into their own hands. And I strongly encourage otherwise. I recommend asking the parents what they would like to have done and to not take that into your own hands. And everyone's going to be different. For me, this room has been a huge place of healing, and it has been where I've sat here and shared my stories with you guys. If I'd come home from the hospital and this room wasn't here anymore, I would politely insist that whoever took it down put it right back up exactly the way it was, because this room is precious to me. Thanks for joining me on this journey of joy, grief, and authenticity. And I appreciate you letting me share my journey with you on how we are evolving Hollis's room from a baby room back to a sunroom like it was before, and a little bit of a music room, always a swan room, and always hints of Hollis.